Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. We're going to start out with Joe Biden picking his running mate. It appears that Mr. Biden is prepared to pick his running mate sometimes this week, and he's under a lot of pressure to choose the right way, but certainly not the white way. That he is being under a lot of pressure to pick a black woman. Of course, he's already said that he was going to pick a woman, and now there is more pressure every day to actually pick not only a woman of color, but a black woman. And we'll get into why that's really being debated at this moment. There's a few events that have happened. And then there's an interesting piece I came across that asked the question about the mainstream media and what will happen to them if, in fact, Donald Trump does not get reelected. Because there's the writer makes a case that mainstream media may, like the New York Times and other publications, may go out of business if Donald Trump doesn't get reelected. So we'll talk about that. And then there's a new poll out by Rasmussen that is pretty shocking, really. It's not surprising, but it's a bit shocking that the majority of Americans, a majority of Democrats nonetheless, don't expect Joe Biden to actually serve one full term, let alone 2 terms, which most presidents at least try to seek. So we'll talk about that. But before we get any deeper, I want to bring you up to speed on our giveaway. You can look at the description in our show wherever you're watching it, whether it's YouTube, spell it all out, John Martin Talks, Facebook, any page, the description of our show, you will see John Martin giveaway. It's very important that you click on there and register to win this great prize package. We call it the Everyday Conceal Pack prize package. This is all around Second Amendment. It is given to us to give away by our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited, otherwise known as BDU. We're in the Big Daddy Unlimited studios every day here, and they are sponsoring our show. You can check that out by, in the same description about the giveaway, you can see the link to our sponsor link, BDU. Check it out. If you have any interest at all in the Second Amendment, and I guarantee you there's a growing interest in that every day, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later, then BDU is the place for you for 99 cents free trial, almost free. 99 cents is almost free. Think about that. Can't get much cheaper than that. You can look at discounts on every kind of Second Amendment item, from your ammunition to your guns to things like we're giving away. Check out our giveaway. This is an everyday concealed carry pack. You can use it for anything. It is a high quality piece of merchandise here. It comes with a few things, including this tactical flashlight that is beyond even description of what all this little flashlight can do and how long it lasts. We've got some ditties to go in there. Right here is a little ditty bag. You can put anything from cleaning supplies for your concealed carry up to lipstick, if that's what you choose. And then, of course, what good would a concealed carry pack be without these 2 little items? One is a magazine clip. You might need more than 7 bullets to shoot a deer, as Governor Cuomo of New York said. And the other is a concealed carry holster. So you get all of this, including the backpack you see. We're going to give it away, guaranteed, to one lucky listener at the end of the month. Go to John Martin giveaway link in our description of our show and register to win. No obligation whatsoever. You don't even have to be a fan of the show. You can invite one of your friends to check it out as well. Check it out. Anyway, let's get on with the show. This is a Politico article about Mr. Joe Biden and how he better pick a black woman. Biden faces Whitmer backlash. Whitmer is the governor of Michigan, and the most key thing in this conversation is she's a white lady, and apparently she was called to Biden's cave, if you will, basement or whatever, for an interview after she'd already been interviewed, which started a bunch of speculation that she was going to be an imminent pick for Joe Biden, which then created a heck of a hullabaloo because the fact that he's not, if he picked Whitmer, there's a lot of things about Whitmer, and we'll talk a little bit, but one thing for sure, as far as I know, she ain't black enough because she don't appear to be black at all, and that is causing quite the stink. Anticipation has been growing for weeks that Joe Biden will make history by choosing the first black woman as a running mate on a major party's presidential ticket. Is this progress that he's going to pick a black woman? In other words, his VP is based on sex and color, not qualifications. And before you get crazy out there, some of you psychos that are trolling me these days, I'm not saying that Biden shouldn't pick a black woman. I'm not saying that he shouldn't pick a woman. I'm not saying that there aren't some qualified women and, of course, black women that will be qualified to be vice president. That is not what I'm saying at all. Of course, Mr. Biden is free to pick whomever he wants. My point is, if you're only looking at skin color and sex, but especially skin color, is this progress or is it literally the end of Martin Luther King's dream? Because Martin Luther King famously talked about that he longed for the day when we wouldn't notice people's skin color, but we would look at the content of their character. So to me, the most important thing in choosing a vice president, because they always talk about, like in Whitmer's case, maybe she'll deliver Michigan. We'll get more into that in just a moment. But really, vice presidential picks get a whole bunch of hullabaloo normally. Now, in our last story, we're going to talk about people not thinking Biden will even serve as a full term. So this particular choice could be significant in the fact that they very likely could be president and they might be de facto president because really everybody knows Biden's out of it. So this VP pick could be the one that is major significance. Generally speaking, there's been a big hullabaloo about whoever the VP will be for any presidential candidate, and it ultimately ends up being no big deal. So we'll see. But this appears to me to be the end of Dr. King's legacy. And there are other events happening all over the country that show that we're on a bad path when it comes to Dr. King, that we're largely ignoring him. When I say we, I'm talking about the media and the certain segments of American population. But back to the story here. Billy Bob tells me to get on with the show. Billy Bob, by the way, is my psychic sidekick. I'm a fish whisperer, make fishing great again, all of that kind of stuff. He keeps me straight. He has a Twitter handle, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. But after news broke, excuse me, I have a little issue. I keep having issues with these headphones. Maybe if I get enough sponsorship links, I'll get me some new headphones. I don't know. But after news broke over the weekend that Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a white woman, which is key, I suppose, had flown to meet with Biden to discuss the vice presidency, frustration and disappointment boiled over among black female Democrats, which are the reason why Joe Biden even has the nomination, by the way, because especially in North Carolina, but in primaries in general, Democratic primaries, the most reliable voting sector are black women. There's just no debate about that. And I don't think Biden would be the nominee if he had not won South Carolina, and most likely he would not have won South Carolina without black women. That is for sure. But it says a disappointment boiled over among black female Democrats, including some in her own state, talking about Miss Whitmer. If true, then let me tell you, we talked about this on, I believe it was yesterday's show. Check out our podcast. The easiest way to do that is go to John Martin Talks Facebook page, like it, share it with others, of course. You can see our videos there. John Martin YouTube, spell it all the way out, John Martin Talks. And you can, of course, see us on America's Voice News, not only live on Facebook. Howdy, good morning, how you guys doing? But you can catch us on their network. They have a download, a free app of the Apple iPhone. You got Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV streaming services, including Dish Network, Channel 219, and Pluto Network. So if you're listening on any of those networks, howdy, how are you? We're glad to have you. Don't forget our giveaway, John Martin Talks description of our show, John Martin giveaway, Go to that link. You'll win this prize pack. Somebody will the end of this month for sure. But we reported yesterday that there was a polling telegrapher or something. I can't remember the name of it, and it's hard to pronounce some of those names. But anyway, they had predicted Trump winning Michigan back in 2016, and the gentleman that is behind that particular polling organization, check out our story from yesterday, actually said that it looked to him like Trump was going to repeat, and he gave some reasons. But if true, like the Democrats say, if true that Whitmer might be the favorite now, it could be because that polling is right and that Trump is now leading in Michigan. And if Biden doesn't win Michigan, you could make a strong case. Of course, Trump has to win a lot. Keep in mind that even old bloated, dead body Joe Biden, the empty shell is what I've been calling him, empty shell candidate Joe Biden, because they're just telling him what to do, that he starts with a heck of an advantage. Any Democrat would, because they get guaranteed pretty much California, Illinois, Massachusetts, and New York. All four of those states, big delegates nominating in their big electoral college. The Democrats going to win those four states automatically. About the only major state that a Republican, of course, the polls or the pundits are all saying, oh, Texas is in play, it's purple now. But in general, the only state that is major with huge electoral college vote that is guaranteed pretty much Republican in the past, we don't want to take anything for granted, is Texas. So right there, the Democrat has a 4-1 advantage no matter who it is. Even empty shell Joe Biden has that. So Michigan is a key state to winning the presidency. It certainly was for Mr. Trump. So if this is true, that Whitmer has now risen to serious contention, it could be that the Biden campaign is looking at polling data and seeing what we talked about yesterday, that Michigan is leaning to be Donald Trump territory once again. And why wouldn't it be when you consider jobs and everything else? And they talk a little bit more here, and we're going to get into it, about Whitmer maybe disappointing some people in Michigan anyway. Virgie Rollins, chair of the Democratic National Committee Black Caucus, I don't know Virgie, I don't have any opinion on one way or another, who hosted Biden at her home before his Michigan primary, so I guess she lives in Michigan, this spring. She said he, talking about Biden, better pick a black woman. If he picks Gretchen, that's the governor of Michigan, he'll lose Michigan. Based on what? I mean, Whitmer, didn't she just become governor just a couple of years ago? I mean, so it's not like she hadn't been, and she was a state senator and a member of the legislature before that. So she has some power in Michigan. I mean, people have voted for her. It may be waning, but Miss Virgie Rollins went on to say there are a lot of black people mad at her, talking about Whitmer in this state. Rollins told Politico, citing her record, talking about Whitmer, her record on Flint's lead water crisis and education policy, particularly in Detroit. Well, let me just tell you, Miss Rollins, I don't think that's a fair criticism of Miss Whitmer. And I'm not defending her, not really. I mean, I'm no fan of Gretchen Whitmer. I mean, I'm with the people that say open up Michigan, and they did a protest. And you notice when people like Tea Party people, or in this case, they called them Michigan militia that protested trying to get Michigan open, they never describe them as mostly peaceful protests. You know why? Because no one ever gets hurt. There's no trash to pick up. I mean, that kind of thing. They're well behaved. They may be carrying or packing their Second Amendment rights in an AR-15, which, by the way, is the best place to get them is Big Daddy Unlimited. Check out our sponsor link and get the prize pack, John Martin giveaway. But it's unfair for Miss Rollins to criticize Whitmer for not being able to solve the lead poisoning in Flint, Michigan, which is totally led by Democrats, or the education policies in places like Detroit, totally led by Democrats. The reason why it's unfair is because no Democrat has ever had a solution for any of those problems. No Democrat. I mean, Michigan has been dominated by Democrats. Flint, Michigan has been dominated by Democrats. They've had this lead problem in their water for over a decade now. What has any Democrat done, let alone Whitmer? Squadouche, I can tell you that right now. What about the education system? The best thing that could happen for the education system anywhere, not only should we reopen them, but the best thing, and this is what I hope the president will push more than ever, the Republicans actually have a solution. How about having school voucher program where residents of poor neighborhoods like in Detroit, black folks, for instance, could actually choose where they go to school and are not held captive by the public school system, which I'm not opposed to the public school system, but truth is truth, and it always starts right here watching JMT. The public school system has failed most of our children, especially lower income children and black children, completely. It has failed. Look at in Baltimore, for instance, totally dominated by Democrats, pretty much dominated by black Democrats. And it's not about race. To me, it's about economics. But the school system in Baltimore at the time that Donald Trump was criticizing Elijah Cummings, the late Elijah Cummings, may he rest in peace, saying Baltimore was an S-hole, the truth came out that let me back up. How many students in the Baltimore public school system in high school were tested as proficient in reading and math? How many? You know what that answer is? 0, baby. Not one. And I don't say that I say that with total disdain, sadness, anger, everything else, because I come from a long line of school teachers, and I can tell you they work really hard. Most of them do, at least the ones I was kin to, my mom and my aunt, and my grandmother and grandfather. Like I say, a long line of school teachers. It breaks my heart, and I guarantee it would break their heart, that students would not be proficient in math and reading. I mean, so that's just the ugly truth. Republicans could have a solution, do have a solution. President Trump has proposed a solution: charter schools and/or vouchers. That's the answer to put some pressure on the public school systems to perform. But the Democrats want to keep schools closed, let alone actually give you a choice of where to go. So I say again, to criticize Whitmer for not fixing the lead problem in Flint or the school system in Michigan is unfair, because no Democrats have ever fixed it, and I don't think any of them ever will. And I know Joe Biden won't, because he don't even know what time it is. As Biden prepares to announce his choice this week, and I think he will, black women activists and operatives, because the convention acceptance speech is next week, so I can't imagine he's going to wait till then. Black women activists and operatives have launched an 11th hour campaign to pressure him, Biden. How do you pressure Joe Biden? How do you pressure someone who's basically out of it? I don't know how you put pressure on somebody like that. Just refuse to change his, I guess it depends or something. In a pair of open letters, I don't say that with any glee, man, because it's just a fact. In a pair of open letters Monday and last week, they made the case, black activists, whoever that may be, the case that he, Joe Biden, needs strong African-American turnout in swing states like Florida, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania to win. Can't dispute that. He definitely does. So what are they saying? I mean, I'm trying to get this, Billy Bob. You tell me, are they really saying that what Biden needs to win is a blackface and the right genitals? Is that really what they're saying? Let me ask, and I'm asking for a friend. Does this person have to have actual real parts? Body parts, feminine body parts, or can they just say they do? They feel like, can they just channel their inner femininity? Can they say, that I'm feeling like a woman today? Could they then put on blackface? Maybe, because it's a key state for Democrats. Maybe he should pick Ralph Northam. Ralph Northam could just put on blackface, no problem there. Now, there's a dispute as to which one of those is Norton. Is Norton the one in the blackface or in the white robe? I mean, this is his yearbook picture from college, and he's the governor of the great state of Virginia. Maybe he should just pick Ralph Northam. How about that, man? Because he's got the right credentials. He knows how to wear a blackface. He looks good in robes, so he could certainly put on a dress, I'm thinking, one of them big Walmart moo-moo shopping dresses, something like that. And I'm sure, Democrats have already shown that it doesn't matter what you actually are. You can be whatever you want to be. You know, he can compete in women's golf or something. I don't know. But he might be the ideal choice for Joe Biden, solve everything. And then he could switch masks depending on, you know, what wing of the Democratic Party comes by the White House. In all those states, a drop off, and not to mention that he's on the right side of the abortion issue for these crazy activists, Black Lives Matter, that want to do away with the nuclear family. You know, he make the baby comfortable, like Rush Limbaugh says, kind of the fourth trimester now, make the baby comfortable, have a little conversation, and then whack, off with his head. In all those states, a drop-off of black voter turnout in 2016 compared to 2012, in other words, Obama drop-off, and 2008 elections when Barack Obama was on the ticket, helped Donald Trump become president. Not to mention over 1 million black people voted for Donald Trump, and that number could increase, which is scary for them. Dislike of Trump, they say, is probably not enough to motivate the large turnout needed to beat him. You think? How about this? This is what they might ought to be worried about. We've been reporting on this. You don't get this very many places. That's why you got to tune into shows like JMT, here John Martin Talks. That's why you got to tune into like America's Voice News. We're broadcast on every day, and Citizens for Trump. Howdy, how are you guys? Good morning. You need alternative media because you don't hear much of this in the mainstream media. But I've been telling you that there are many, many reasons and a lot of data to show that black Americans may be truly getting woke to the idea that the Democrats are not the answer. And we've been telling you that. In fact, 81%, we talked about this last week, 81% of black Americans want police in their neighborhoods. 81% want either the same amount or more police presence in their neighborhoods. And, do you really think that they are arming up? Because they're also buying guns at record levels. No matter what color you are, the best color to be with your green is to go to BDU, our sponsor link. Check it out in our description of our show. Don't forget our giveaway here, John Martin giveaway, all that in description of our show. Support fighters. Not everybody can be a fighter like me and Billy Bob, but you can support fighters. Check it out. But so this idea that black Americans, you know, they're arming themselves. They actually, 81% want police in their neighborhood. Do you really think that they're worried about like the Ralph Northams, the blackface, and the Ku Klux Klanners? That's who they're arming up against? I don't think so. It might be these Black Lives Matter protesters in Chicago. And I want you to listen. We're going to play a video here that not only shows you what happened over the weekend, but what happened, I think, yesterday in defense of what happened in Chicago. Check this out. This is very interesting.
Thing they want to take it, because these businesses have insurance. They're going to get their money back. My people aren't getting anything except police, except tear gas.
In front of the 1st Police District, members of Black Lives Matter justifying the actions of looters last night. Glass could be heard breaking throughout downtown. At one point, multiple rounds fired at police near the Gucci store on Michigan Avenue as hundreds ran into stores and left with armfuls of clothes and other goods.
To those who engaged in this criminal behavior, let's be clear. We are coming for you.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Police Superintendent David Brown addressing the chaos after the smash and grabs in much of the Mag Mile and portions of River North and Goose Island.
This was not an organized protest. Rather, this was an incident of pure criminality.
Reverend Jesse Jackson tweeting today, "This act of pillaging, robbing, looting in Chicago was humiliating, embarrassing, and morally wrong. It must not be associated with our quest for social justice and equality."
Jesse Jackson can keep his opinions to himself. If he is not willing to grow with the movement, if he is not willing to recognize what happened in his day, in his day in the civil rights movement when people were being beaten, he wasn't going out denying looters then.
That's good enough. You want to know how far to the left Black Lives Matter is? Jesse Jackson is to the right of them. I mean, that tells you all you really need to do. Think about what that young woman is saying, and she's a leader in the Black Lives Matter movement in the Chicago area. She's saying that looters have the right to get that because the businesses are insured and we don't get anything, except police presence. I guess you get Gucci bags and, maybe Rolex watches or whatever. I mean, think about that. In justifying it, insurance. So Black Lives Matter, I don't know if they can turn out people to vote and line up and vote, but they can sure get people bum rushing a Gucci store. That's for sure. But what about this idea of insurance? I'm with her on part of that. You've dadgum make sure you have insurance. And the insurance you really need is probably insurance like what I would call the McCloskey plan insurance. Check out my heroes, the McCloskeys here. I got a picture of them. Yeah, that's the insurance you better have. You better have an AR-15 and a 38 special or whatever she's got right there, Miss McCloskey. And keep in mind, these people, to me, are the turning point this election should turn on. Because those people, when you really look at what happened to the McCloskeys, it says a lot. They called the police. Keep in mind, they called the police when people broke down their gate and bum rushed their neighborhood, threatening them, their home, and the life of their dog, man. I mean, Americans love pets. I can't imagine if somebody tried to hurt my dog, what I would do to them. But anyway, they called the police. The police didn't come. Billy Bob reminds me they did come 2 weeks later. Yeah, you're right, Billy Bob. They came 2 weeks later to take their insurance policy, i.e. their guns from them. So if that can happen to them, it can happen to anyone. And I guarantee you, Black Americans, white Americans, everything, every color of the rainbow Americans who are buying guns right now at record numbers are not doing it to protect themselves from people like the McCloskeys, but to protect themselves from Black Lives Matter. And black people are doing it too. The main thing you need to understand, if you're out there on a peaceful protest, I've been saying this, but if I say it bears repeating, and I'm just trying to help. If you're out there trying to peacefully protest, the first day you go out and your thing gets hijacked, that's one thing. You could say, well, I really didn't know what was happening. But if you go back again, it's on you. Because I guarantee you that the day of peaceful protest, whatever day they were, is over for now. And it's definitely going to be over until after the election because it fits the mainstream media. Black Lives Matter. You take these progressives, I keep telling you, take them at their word. You don't have to guess where they're coming from. That lady looked you right in the face on the camera and basically said they have every right to loot, pillage, shoot at cops, bang up, all that stuff, gang bang, whatever they're doing. They have every right to do so. Do you really believe they're going to stop right now? It's not going to happen. Who's criticizing them? You heard that Lightfoot lady, the mayor, criticizing them, saying, oh, we're going to arrest you, but they keep releasing them. They released thousands of people arrested in Chicago the last few months, some of them accused of murder, no less. Just check it out. But you better get some insurance. The insurance you need is what the cops took away from the McCloskeys. You need something shopping from like BDU, Big Daddy Unlimited, baby. You need to check out our sponsor link. You better get the insurance of the Second Amendment, man, so that you can say, just like old Charlton Heston, we played it a while back, man, do I miss that guy from my cold dead hands, right? That's the protection, the insurance you need to save your life, because you may be able to replace your house, but you can't replace your wife. You can't replace your life. No, I guess you could replace your wife. It might be costly, but you certainly can't replace your dog, right? Anyway, I get sidetracked. Some people say that all the time. You know I love you. Anyway, the truth starts here. In the wake of the nationwide Black Lives Matter protests and Biden's repeated stumbles over race, many activists thought a black woman was a lock to be his running mate until the Whitmer News broke, said LaTosha Brown, a co-founder of the group Black Lives Matter. Now, in case you have not met Miss LaTosha Brown, she, by her own words, these are not my words, these are her words. She is an avowed Marxist. She says it herself. The website says it itself. She is a Marxist. So if you're a Marxist, you believe in basically doing away with the U.S. Constitution. As I tell you, you don't have to take my word for it. You could, maybe you should, but you don't have to, because these progressives will tell you exactly where they're coming from if you just listen and take them at their word. I believe everything they're telling me, that they absolutely believe it is their right. I don't know about God-given right, but their right to loot your stuff, period. You have insurance, you better get some of that AR-15 insurance. And I'm not advocating violence. I'm advocating the oldest tradition in the world, self-preservation. Brown said she was flummoxed. This is the leader of Black Lives Matter, one of the co-founders, said she was flummoxed by the late consideration of Whitmer because a black woman would do a better job turning out African-American voters, even in Michigan. Well, I don't know about that, because some of the black people may be staying at home worrying about their houses while people are lined up to vote, so I don't know. They can certainly turn out people to bum rush a Gucci store, but I'm not sure about voting. We'll see. LaTosha Brown went on to say, at the end of the day, if Joe Biden can't get the white Midwestern vote, then we're all up a creek. Listen to this, because you want to know about the Joe Biden and Black Lives Matter. They got one thing in common that comes out in this paragraph. They got multiple things in common, but one thing comes out pretty clear. Let's start over. At the end of the day, this is Miss Brown talking. At the end of the day, Joe Biden can't get if Joe Biden can't get white Midwestern vote, then we're all up the creek. Yeah, we are. The whole point of black folks voting for him is he's supposed to deliver the white people. If he can't deliver the white Midwestern vote, like what the heck did we vote for you for? Good question. So deliver the white people. Think about that. Black Lives Matter and Joe Biden have one thing in common. When it comes to people, especially black people in Biden's case, they don't care. They don't care about your life. They don't care. I mean, Jesse Jackson, I hate to quote Jesse Jackson, but he's absolutely right. What happened in Chicago is a disgrace for all Americans, especially black Americans, when the whole thing was orchestrated by Black Lives Matter, which, in fairness, there's a lot of white folks in the middle of all of that. But a lot of those looters were black people. It is a disgrace. It should be a disgrace, but it's a disgrace to all of Americans, and it's our responsibility to do something about it. And electing Joe Biden would be the most irresponsible thing we could possibly do. But Black Lives Matter, they don't care about those people. You really think that sending someone in to loot a store, it might help Black Lives Matter, it might help Joe Biden, but aside from maybe having a gold watch for a day, it doesn't help the black person that is looting a store, because if they get caught, they're never going to amount to squat for the most part, right? So it doesn't help them at all. And Joe Biden has told you, I haven't played it today, but I'll probably play it for the weeks out, that 1994 crime bill. Well, Joe Biden tells black America, when it comes to your children and the reasons behind it, why they are becoming the predators, his words, not mine, he doesn't care. He just wants to lock them up. Take these progressives at their word, man. Back to the story here, because Black Lives Matter and Joe Biden, let me just finish with this part. They only care about one thing, power. Power. That's all that matters. Not power to the people, but power to them. And money, man. Joe Biden's all about the money, enriching his family. And Black Lives Matter, this Miss Brown, she is the chief fundraiser for Black Lives Matter. All they care about is money and power. They don't care about any. You know about Black Lives Matter, all lives matter? No lives matter to them. None. They don't care. But Valerie Jarrett, an advisor to former President Obama and top Biden surrogate and a contender for VP, indicated she wasn't concerned because she trusts Biden to select the right person for the job. She said he is uniquely suited to know what the job entails, since he had 8 years. Now, 8 years ago or 12 years ago or wherever it is now, he might have been uniquely suited. But the Biden of today, uniquely suited to pick a woman as his running mate? I don't know about you, but he can't even tell. Well, let's just play this video and it'll show you just how unique Joe Biden is.
They don't call Super Tuesday for nothing. By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is Valerie, you switched on me.
He's unique.
This is my wife. This is my sister.
He is absolutely uniquely qualified. He can't even tell his wife from his sister. What's that? Billy Bob, I don't know if I should say that or not. He said it might help him in some states. I didn't say it. He said it. I'm just repeating. Sometimes I get in trouble listening to him. But Biden don't even know his sister from his wife, and he's going to be able to pick. I mean, he just probably throw a dart at him or something, man. I don't know. Maybe he should just do the sniff test on him. Jarrett added, Valerie Jarrett, that is, she said, I think that he will see a large uptick in turnout for Vice President Biden, no matter who he selects as his running mate. I don't think that certainly there will be an element of enthusiasm if it's a historic pick by choosing a black woman. So if you pick somebody based on skin color and sex versus character, in other words, the death of Martin Luther King's dream, that's going to bring the votes. But also from what I see, Jarrett said, there's an awful lot of enthusiasm for Biden and his presidency. Really? Have you seen enthusiasm for Biden? Now, there's a lot of passion against President Trump, but there's no enthusiasm for Biden, man. We got a meme here show. There's Biden supporters, man. Do you see Biden signs hardly anywhere or any? Does anybody? And I've put this challenge out and hadn't put it out in a while, so it's time for me to put it out again. Chime in on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching. Give me a passionate reason why you would support Joe Biden that does not mention Donald Trump. Because I get it if you hate Donald Trump. There's a lot of passion on both sides for Donald Trump. Some want to walk through fire, which I hope you will, to vote for him on election day. I know I will. And there's some that want to shove him in that very same fire. I get it. I understand it. I get that. But I still have yet to have someone without saying something anti-Trump, pro-Biden. Just tell me in a paragraph why you think Joe Biden is the man for these times for president. He never has been. He's a lousy candidate, always has been. He's a lousy candidate now. He is benefiting from a pandemic, for God's sakes, that is keeping him locked up in a basement. That is his best qualification for president, is he's locked in his basement. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, on this whole story, Black Lives Matter doesn't care, and neither does Joe Biden. They don't care about anything but power. They don't care about people. Black Lives Matter has proven they can turn out looters. It is a shame. I agree with Jesse Jackson. It is a disgrace. It is a shame. It is a tragedy what happened in Chicago, but it's happening in every major city. Did you see where Seattle voted yesterday, like 7-1, to defund the police in Seattle? There's reports out that the police chief, who is a black woman, by the way, is actually saying that she thinks she's going to resign, retire, get out of there, because it's just too much. I mean, it's crazy, man. But as I say, Black Lives Matter may actually suppress the vote, as people may be defending their homes come election day rather than standing in line. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, I guess we'll get the news and we'll figure out who it is. All right, we're going to move on to a story from Digiday. I've never actually done a story from them, so I don't know much about them, but it seems credible. It's an interesting piece, and it is about whether or not news media, mainstream media, from the New York Times down to MSNBC and CNN, they've gone into a ratings boon over the last 3.5 years because of Donald Trump and the fact that they've basically become the anti-Trump news networks combination. And this writer is making the case, and I think it's a valid point, that if Donald Trump actually loses, will they be able to stay in business? And he makes some good points here. So let's look at it. There's no antagonist. News outlets mull the possible end of their editorial and business side Trump bump bonanza. It had been more than a decade since the New York Times launched a brand advertising campaign, but 2017 felt like the right moment in time. What was happening then? Lead up to the 2018 election. Some people and Trump motivating people, both sides of the aisle. The Times was under daily assault from President Trump, whose long-running obsession with his hometown newspaper had become a constant. Well, they don't have to worry about that. He's a Floridian now, so don't worry about that, New York Times. Welcome the president to Florida. Long-running obsession with his hometown paper had become a constant crusade to rebrand the Times as fake news, and they really are. Debuting at the Academy Awards, The Truth is Hard offered a not-so-subtle advertising rebuttal, crescending with black and white text affirming, it's a little hard to read all this, the Times' commitment to the truth. In 24 hours, this writer says, the paper reportedly garnered more subscribers than it had in the prior 6 weeks. So in one day, they did more subscribers when they attacked Donald Trump than they had the previous almost 2 months. Check that out. Donald Trump, DJT, man, he is good for business one way or another, no doubt about it. And he's bragged about it, rightfully so. The ad, talking about the New York Times, offered an example of a key media lesson of the past 4 years. Redefining yourself for the Trump era makes for good business. He says, ask the Times, CNN, MSNBC, or the Washington Post. And he's absolutely right about this. Trump derangement syndrome is now 24/7 on everything except maybe Fox News, and even they get into it here. And we have a little of Trump derangement syndrome because here at John Martin Talks, I've been telling you, when they talk about Trump being unhinged, the president's unhinged, we got to do the 25th Amendment on him, he's unhinged. He may or may not be unhinged, but let me tell you what I'm hoping for, because I'm confident that Donald Trump's going to do his part to get reelected. What I think is what my old daddy used to say, and this is what, if you're new to the show, you need to hear this, because if I say it, it bears repeating. We, the people who are for Donald Trump, need to campaign for the guy like he's 2 votes behind, and the next 2 people you see, what, Billy Bob, are the 2 that are going to put him over the top. That's how we need to campaign for him. And I have that 24/7. We need to keep that going. And to me, Donald Trump, I can't imagine. And I thought about this. I've talked about this with a few friends, some of them in the business, that, what will happen if Donald Trump, and I'm talking about like to the show here, what would happen, God forbid, if Joe Biden becomes president? Well, I've got a lot to talk about. I hope to talk about the future of America and how bright it is, so bright we have to wear shades under Donald Trump, because, and I forgot to make this point, I need Donald Trump unhinged in 2016. I can't wait, man. I can't wait for Donald Trump unleashed, baby, unleashed in 2020. So that's what we need, is Donald Trump unleashed, and we can make that happen. But in the crazy case that Donald Trump doesn't win, we'll have even more to talk about, probably, because we'll be talking about how insane the country is and unfortunately how it's going down the tubes. I'd rather talk about making America great again, and putting America first. But if we have to talk about the train wreck that is Joe Biden, so be it. The Trump moment, you can change that, by the way. You can make my job a lot happier, by campaigning for him like he's 2 votes behind. And what? The next 2 people you see, put him over the top. The Trump moment is what he's calling this, is a boom for TV ratings and web traffic, video news, retweets, everything, basically. Sense of journalistic purposes could be coming to a close at a perilous time, there's no doubt about that, in the media business and for the country. The advertising market has basically just gone to crap, really. And that's why I'm so happy to have a great group of people behind BDU. Check out our sponsorship link. Help us help you and help the show, please. Support fighters. The advertising market has been crushed with layoffs, furloughs, and cutbacks felt across the industry. In place of Trump, the defining story of the media generation would likely be a much more conventional and comparatively boring situation. President Joe Biden, I would say beyond boring. I don't disagree with that, but frightening is the way. I got a radical idea for the media over the next, 90-some days? This is really radical. I don't expect them to do it. But if they really care about America, why don't, and I'm not asking them to stop bashing Trump. That's beyond their ability. They're not capable of that. Trump derangement syndrome, it's an infection. It's real. There's no cure for it, apparently, except reelecting Donald Trump. And then they probably all burn up. That'd be just, I'm melting if that happens, right? But here's my radical idea for the mainstream media. How about actually covering Joe Biden? I mean, the real Joe Biden, what's really happening. And you could start by something I have yet to see. I mean, he's made all these gaffes just over the last couple of weeks. You ain't black enough, and you're not voting for Trump. You ain't really black. black people are monolithic. They have no diversity, all that. He asked that black reporter, have you been tested for cocaine? Are you a junkie? I mean, all these kind of things that would have just been like over the top if Trump would have said it. They'd have been saying that the Ku Klux Klan was literally around the White House. They're saying that anyway, right? Because Trump is the worst racist ever, right? In the presidency. He's the worst racist ever because he sucks at it. He's terrible at being. He never read the proper handbook about being a racist, because if he was a racist, why would he have black unemployment before the pandemic at an all-time high? I mean, a black unemployment at an all-time low, employment at an all-time high. Sorry, see, I had a Joe gaffe. Yeah, it happens. And then black home business, black home ownership at an all-time high. Black business ownership up 400%. So, yeah, Trump's a terrible racist. He's the worst ever because he absolutely sucks at it. But what if they actually covered Joe Biden, the real Joe Biden, and asked him, which is the one thing I have not heard yet, a follow-up question. They'll ask him a question. He'll give some ludicrous answer, and they just give him a pass. They just move on to the other. Ask the man a follow-up question, for God's sakes. I mean, he never gets one, man. You'll know that they're serious if they actually ask him a follow-up question. But Biden, man, I mean, it's not, this campaign has never been about Joe Biden. It's not about Joe Biden. If it ever becomes about Joe Biden, the actual man, he can't win. Because if people realize, of course, if they maybe can, our next story here talking about, the fact that half Americans don't think he's going to, and half the Democrats don't think he's going to serve out 4 years, but they're still voting for him. So Biden, man, he don't know what time it is. He doesn't even hardly know his name. But Jonathan Klein, the former president of CNN, said this, talking about Biden and Trump being a boon for media. What would go away if Trump were to lose is the bad. Now, this is the former head of CNN. What would go away is the bad guy in the story. I mean, I tell you, progressives, just take them at their word. They're telling you Trump is a bad man, bad orange man. There's no antagonist, so Trump's an antagonist. I guess that's better than being the Antichrist. So what are we tuning in for? And check this out. He says, he's talking about Joe Biden here. Grandpa is a nice guy. Everybody might be relieved not to watch as much cable news anymore and go find a book to read, a garden plant, or a socially distanced walk to take. I keep telling you, listen to these progressives. These progressives are telling you, take them at the word. Here's the head of CNN, former head, basically telling you Biden is an empty shell. There's nothing here. He's boring. He's blank. That's why they actually like him, by the way, so they can program him. But if you listen to these progressives, they're telling you Biden ain't about nothing. Not anymore. If Biden was whatever Biden once was, other than being totally liberal, he's not anymore. It's time, and that's the sad thing. It's time for enormous caveat, according to the writer here. Trump could win again. You think? The media fervor could continue, or maybe not. So I could expect them to just be literally like the Wicked Witch in Oz. I'm melting. If Trump wins it, because think about that. Trump unhinged, Trump unleashed. Can you imagine the crying? I mean, not only make America great again, but let's make them cry again. That's what I'm for. Nobody really knows anything these days. This is what the reporters talking about, other reporters. And don't expect media executives to make any grand political predictions in public anytime soon. They are too scarred, and probably scared, from 2016. Nevertheless, in private, the fact remains that the media world is increasingly thinking about a post-Trump landscape and the end of one of the most insane feeding frenzies in modern journalism history. So they're admitting that they've been on a feeding frenzy with Donald Trump, and he has been a boon to them. And like I say, I don't know. I'm hoping that we don't have to worry about it, that Donald Trump gets reelected. But if he does not, I mean, the least of my worries is having something to talk about. Now, they may have nothing to talk about at New York Times, but we'll be talking about trying to save America. As I keep telling you, we got to man the political ramparts, or we're going to have to man the real ones again. That's what my show is really about at the end of the day, is battling ignorance and apathy so we don't have to man the real ramparts. We man the political ones, because that would be a shame to man the real ones, because the price has already been paid. It doesn't mean we won't have to pay it again, because freedom has never been free, ever. You can vote your way into socialism, but you'll have to shoot your way out. That seems to be the truth all over the world. And we're on the verge of voting ourselves into socialism. And it is scary, man. Let me check my time. Oh, I'm already out of time. I'm sorry. I went too far. Let me just tell you this. Check out the polling that I talked about. Let me look at it before. Maybe I'll cover it tomorrow. We'll look at that tomorrow. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Facebook page. Like it, share it with others. Remember our giveaway. Have a great day. But as I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.